Hello, my name is Jesse Phillips. I'm a military firearms instructor and I've been working with guns all my life. Today we're going to talk about the molecular advantage cleaning system. Several items inside the package here. Let's go ahead and get all that pulled out first. Actual instructions. Our aerospace grade microfiber towel. Our actual MOA oil, MOA grease, our applicators, and this is the actual oil remover. We also have our non-snagging wipes here. So this is everything we're dealing with today. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and pull apart the AR-15, my personal favorite. So first thing we want to do is always make sure the weapon's cleared out before we start to disassemble it. So first thing we're going to check is our safety, magazine, check our chamber's clear, and then of course check the safety again. Now, before we get started, once we've verified it is cleared, send that bolt forward, pull apart, separate the upper and lower receivers. It's done that. Go ahead and pull out our bolt, charging handle, and I'm going to go ahead and start with the lower receiver first. So the first thing we're going to use is the molecular advantage oil. Now on these applicators you do not need to place a lot. A little bit of this goes a long way. Once you get that on there, you're going to go ahead and lube up all the internal working parts around that trigger assembly group. Alright, now that we've got the lower receiver done, we're going to go ahead and move on to our bolt carrier group. So get that pulled apart, talk about a little bit about the inside here, what areas to really focus on. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit more of the oil. Alright, now on your actual bolt, you really want to focus around these lugs and around your actual extractor. In my line of work, I see these crack all the time. So you really want to focus on that. Make sure that it's lubed up. We're also going to place some of the grease on it here in a minute. So got that done. Go ahead and play a little bit on our firing pin. Now the way this stuff works is once you've applied it, what it's going to do is it's going to soak into the metal. Once it soaks into the metal, it's going to start pulling out all kinds of carbon deposits and oils, things you didn't even realize were still inside your gun. So what this is going to do is going to unclog all those pores. So after about the third time you apply all of this, your gun should be operating with 0 errors. Now this is the second time I've applied it onto this, and as you can see, it's still pulling stuff out. Stuff that I didn't realize was still in there. These applicators can be used multiple times. Put a little bit more on there so we can get our charging handle nice and oiled up. Way you don't hear so much of that nasty grinding noise that we tend to hear, especially with a brand new charging handle. Seems like all it does is grind, grind, grind. Alright, so now we've got our bolt carrier group, and the charging handle lubed up. We're going to go ahead and place some of this grease on this applicator as well, and go ahead and start greasing up the... I'm going to go ahead and place a little bit on the charging handle. It said a lot of people get that nasty grinding in there. Like, what's going on? Well, it's brand new metal. Probably haven't oiled it up yet. And so that's what's going to do. It's done that. We're going to go ahead and do the outside of the bolt carrier. Remember, the entire time this bolt carrier is moving back and forth, it's causing a lot of friction inside your upper receiver. So the way this MOA is going to work, it's actually going to help dissipate that friction and let your gun operate a lot smoother. Go ahead and get in there where the bolt sits. So that's going to sit there and oscillate back and forth. Once you've done that, I'm going to go ahead and do the outside of the bolt itself. Take a lot of that stress and friction off of there as well. And then we're going to go ahead and do the bolt cam pin also, since that rotates back and forth. Alright, once that's done, we're going to go ahead and put our bolt carrier back together. I already feel a lot of difference in there, and back and forth, a lot less grinding. All right. Going over cloths, just make sure all that grease is spread out nice and uniform like. Alright, now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and get to the upper receiver itself. Now on the inside of your upper receiver is where you're going to catch a lot of that wear and tear from the charging handle grinding in there, along with the bolt carrier moving back and forth constantly. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to oil it up. Get these sights down so it'll sit a little bit better. Alright, so the oil comes in the big tube. Some of that on there. Start oiling up inside the chamber. And along the inside there. Alright, once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and get some of that grease put on the applicator. go along the insides. One thing I really like about this MOA product is the fact there is very little mess, comparing it to, you know, something that's almost in a liquid form or aerosol form. There's mess everywhere. It's constant cleaning up after you just got done cleaning your gun, which is one thing I hate having to do. So alright, so now the inside's been oiled up and lubed up, what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to take my bore snake here. I'm going to place a little bit of that oil on the bore snake itself and run that down the barrel a couple times. Alright, so once we get that oiled up, I'm going to go ahead and drop that in there and pull it through. Nice and clean. Alright, so now we're done oiling up and lubing up the rifle. We're going to go ahead and place it back together. Go ahead and get our charging handle placed back in there. See if we feel a little bit less of that grind. Alright, back together for our function check. So first thing we need to do, again, make sure it's cleared out. Weapon has been cleared out. So we're going to go ahead and fire. Charging handle back. Let it go. Listen for that click. You got it. Fire. Try to place it back on safe. Should not be going back to safe. Alright, so the gun's been lubed up using Molecular Advantage lubricating solution. It's Jesse Phillips signing out.